Shane, Dale and the Rufty Tufty Club. Shane and Dale were tough guys. Real tough. You didn't mess with those two. Everyone in Belleville knew that. To begin with, they knew how to use their fists. Shane even knew some savate tricks. Ryton Lartane once learned it at his shin's expense. Since that day, he would never forget to give Shane a wide berth whenever their paths were about to cross again. When asked about Shane, Ryton would shrug his shoulders, wave his hand as to chase away a bad memory, and say with a meaningful, unquiet look on his face, "This guy is dynamite." Yes, Roland Lartane. You have to consider that Shane, as Dale by the way, was just young, and that Roland had a reputation as someone who could take hard punches as well as deliver them. And saying Shane walking down the street, you just would have seen a rather scrawny-looking boy. Just that he wasn't that scrawny. He had the muscles of a stray cat, and he had its nimbleness as well. Dale still had something of a little boy's look. But then it would have been a mistake to just rely on his charming smile. With a slingshot in his hands, Dale was, well, nearly, as accurate and effective as Wilhelm Tell with his crossbow. And he could reload a lot more swiftly. One more thing, Shane and Dale had an encyclopedic knowledge regarding swear words, and the wits needed to shoot those right in the bullseye when caught in a verbal argument. They were able to, and already more than once had, shut up the more talkatives of the Halley's Market's fishwives or porters. For the time being, it was 14th of July night's dance. Shane and Dale were lying flat on the floorboards, right under the platform on which a band played the musette. They had cut their way through the outer marquee with Dale's pocket knife, and were now carefully hidden behind the raw fabric of the curtain. There were 2 observation slits, thanks to Dale's knife, between them and the dance floor. And where they were, they had a good view onto the waltzing couples, and especially onto the waltzing girls, whose light summer dresses opened in corollas, showing all kind of interesting details. On the floor, there was a pack of big Cobra firecrackers. Cobra firecrackers were not to be sold to children, but Shane had ways to get things that weren't to be sold to children. Both boys exchanged a glance. Dale produced a matchbox. He opened it. Peggy and Lillian were both 15, friends since early childhood, and this was their first dance. Peggy didn't notice the red paunchy firecracker that rolled to a stop just between her dancing feet. She was kissing Renee for the first time and she had closed her eyes. Lillian didn't notice the other Cobra at her own feet, because she was listening to Bibert's voice. And this voice was telling sweet words at her ear. The double cracking report was so loud and unexpected that Peggy nearly passed out. Lillian gave a jump, looked around, and saw the curtain under the platform moving. "Peggy. Here under the platform. Come on, let's catch the little scoundrels." The accordion had already resumed playing. Both girls plunged under the curtain. Once outside and at a safe distance from the marquee, Shane and Dale stopped and waited. "Yes, the moon is high tonight." "Here," Shane howled towards the night sky. "You boys just wait till we catch you," went Lillian. "And then you'll be howling for good, believe me." The night was clear, and lighted by the multicolored bulbs that lined the marquee's angles. So the girls clearly saw Shane's answer. His left hand landed on the base of his right arm and his right forearm shot upwards. Both boys turned heels and bolted off. And that's when all went wrong. Dale tripped on one of the marquee's guy ropes and fell down. Shane came back to help him up. And suddenly hands were catching their collars. Shane's right foot collided with Lillian's left shin. She let out a yell, but didn't let him go. Instead, she gave him a slap that sent stinging hornets in his right cheek. Dale tried a jab but only punched into thin air. He then bit hard into Peggy's wrist, who also yelled, but didn't let him go. Instead she caught his right ear and twisted, pulling his head, and his sharp kitten's teeth, away from her wrist. Facts were cruel, but you had to face them nevertheless. Shane and Dale were outweighed. All they could now from then on was clench their teeth. "There," said Lillian. Let's go to Thescrates and give those boys the spanking of their life. A spanking, yes, that's the idea, answered a gleeful Peggy. You have no right to spank us, ventured Shane. Then we'll use our left. And now shut up or else we lead you both back to the dance floor, and instead of a spanking here, just between us, you'll get a very public one. Those words hit home. Here behind the marquee, onlookers hardly were to be feared. And neither Shane nor Dale cared to be seen in such a predicament. Lillian and Peggy sat down, each on her crate. Look at this mess, said Lillian, considering Shane. Scraped knees, a tear in the shorts, half of the shirt's buttons missing. I just cannot figure how boys can be so untidy. I have an idea that your mother won't be happy when she'll see you coming back in such a state. Could be that you earn yourself another spanking then. But let's get down to business. What are you doing? This an alarmed protest from Dale. Well, explained Peggy, I'm just tacking down your shorts, you don't dare to do that. It's not fair, this from Shane. We'll report you to the police. Yes, you'll tell the police that you got a spanking like the little brats you are, and everyone in town will know all about it. Please, pleaded Dale, why? I don't want to spank your clothes. It's you I want to spank. Both girls had tucked their dresses up to free their thighs. But Shane and Dale were far from being able to appreciate this charming gesture. Besides, they soon were both over those knees, feet dangling in the air, with the pavement a few inches from their nose. You saw them? Well, we saw your bottoms, boys. What did you say? The moon is high. Yours are high indeed. Peggy, don't you find they're cute? Lillian gently tapped Shane's rear. Yes, you're right, Lillian. What lovely little buns. Maybe a shade too pale. Shouldn't we warm them up? You know what? It's fun. Oh look. Over there. The fireworks. Le feu d'artifice. It's beginning. A flower of red, yellow and green fire went blossoming high over the square, followed seconds later by the report's clap. Let's shoot a few d'artifices, exclaimed Lillian cheerfully. Both girls lifted their right hand up. Both hands went down together in a double resounding smack. And now both hands tingled pleasantly. The hands went up again. I never would have believed that a spanking could be that fun. Now Peggy, how could you have known? It's the first time you play the right part. Let's go and spank the devil out of those boys. There were great flares, rockets, Bengal lights, flowers of brightly colored shooting stars. And for each and every one, Peggy and Lillian thunderously applauded, using just their right hand. Some say, never give it away, that, after having clenched their teeth for a good third of the show, Shane and Dale cried their eyes out and even begged for the spanking to stop. The last time that Dale had wept was 4 years before, over his mother's knee, the day he had broken his fist's windowpane with his first slingshot. The last time Shane had wept was 2 years before, over his mother's knee, the first time he had been caught playing truant. And so that night, in Belleville, there were not just one feu d'artifice, but 3. And not just one bouquet final, but 3. One in the cloudless sky over the city. And 2 over Shane's and Dale's most tender part. And believe me or not, the most flaming one was not the first. 2 days after this memorable double spanking, Shane and Dale were at a street corner with their friend Manu. The 3 of them were leaning against the wall outside the drugstore, where they had just bought licorice whips. Suddenly, Manu whispered, "Hey boys. Look. On the other side of the street. Those girls. Let's go and chase them." Manu didn't notice it, but both Shane and Dale winced, and their hands unconsciously went to the seat of their shorts. "Forget all about it, man," said Dale with a solemn voice. "Yes," said Shane to a bemused Manu. "Forget about it. Those girls are, well, they are, dynamite. On the other side of the street, Lillian and Peggy spotted the boys. They waved their hands and flashed a wide and knowing smile. Shane and Dale waved back. Well, what else could they do?